Oh my god. I can tell that these robots were trained by kung fu or wushu practitioners who had that intention. In drunken style, you are intentionally putting yourself extremely off balance and then just barely catching yourself. So for those who don't know, this is Chunwan. Chunwan is China's New Year's Eve mega broadcast. It is a 4-hour-long variety show of music, dance, comedy, and all sorts of traditional arts. Every year, hundreds of millions of people tune in to celebrate, enjoying just how amazing and beautiful Chinese culture can be. The main reason that I know Chunwan exists is because of its martial arts performances. Martial arts are so iconic to China, they look great on stage and they can creatively showcase another of China's strengths, its technology. I've always felt that show creators are trying to give off the impression that China is just incredible. Past performances kind of gave me that sense of awe, but this time they did it with robots and I am very impressed. So if you don't know me, my name is Rebecca. My background is in wushu. I've competed for the US in international competition as well as performed professionally doing a mix of wushu, acrobatics, and fight choreography. I think that all Chunwan performances are intended to give a sense of awe and pride in just how incredible Chinese culture can be. Past performances kind of gave me that sense, but this year I am in awe and I wanted to share with you guys why. Okay, so already in these opening moves, something that I've come to appreciate is very difficult is the subtlety of waist movement in martial arts. The movement is so complicated in that it's not just like you have your hips hinge forward and your legs move in a couple of directions. It's really a coordination of your waist with your upper and lower body to get that smooth transition, and that the robots are doing it so smoothly tells me that there's a lot of small incremental movements happening to make it so precise. I mean, you can see there's a little bit of like foot hopping, which tells me that maybe the robots aren't quite on balance, but I'm not holding it against them for this. All right, back tuck. They went to their knees, which I think probably made it a little bit easier to balance than going to their feet, but still really hard to do. I think as somebody who's also tried to teach people wushu, getting that nuance for like those body turns, these are a little bit rigid, much more rigid than a professional wushu athlete, but still much more smooth than if you were first teaching somebody to do wushu. Okay, so these movements with the staffs, they're not going particularly fast, but I can attest that it's very difficult even with well-trained humans on how to calculate the exact distance between a person. You need to be constantly paying attention to both them and yourself and the timing. It is very much an interactive conversation rather than just something that you can program, okay, go A, B, C, and follow that. I imagine that these robots have some sort of sensors to detect where these little boys are so that they can interact with them so smoothly and respond to them in real time. I think that is very impressive. Something incredible about this too is that you can tell, particularly by the rhythm, by the posture to it, I can tell that these robots were trained by kung fu or wushu practitioners who had that intention just by the rhythm and intensity of these strikes. They're actually doing the movements. That spinning kick too, I think it's difficult to learn because basically you get yourself into a position and then you throw your leg, which can very easily throw you off balance. So another thing that is very impressive. All right, parkour robots. Oh my god. I mean, it's silly for us that this robot is moving backwards because like for us, we can't see where we're going when we move backwards, but like he probably can. All right, drunken style. That's amazing. That's amazing. So in drunken style, you are intentionally putting yourself extremely off balance and then just barely catching yourself. I think the idea behind this is that if you are with an opponent, that they can't tell where your weight is, they can't tell what you're going to do next because you're so all over the place. You are just on the edge of being out of balance. Wow. I think what impresses me with the nunchucks as well is that there is another object that is not connected to the robot, that it doesn't have any proprioception for, and it can still do all of the movements. They are so quick. All right, straight sword robot. I mean, the straight sword movements are a little bit jerky, but they're there. They're there. Some symbolism here. Okay, we're partnering with these robots. This is the future. I am very impressed. I think this is especially impressive if you look at what was happening at the 2025 Spring Festival Gala. There is some complex choreography. Yes, these robots are dancing and moving all four limbs, but it is nowhere near as complex or acrobatic. The movement in the hips and waist is just so much more rigid, especially, and the progress, absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I am a mix of incomplete awe and also kind of terrified by this. I guess part of me could look at this and be like, now my job can also be done by a robot. And I'm not quite sure how to feel about that, but I guess I don't feel that bad because I think that this type of performance really serves a different purpose than the type of performance where you want to see human beings emoting and expressing themselves on stage. The robots really give off something completely different than a human performer, so I don't really feel threatened in that way. One more thing that I think is so impressive is that there's so many of these robots and that it's all happening live. I think that there's always a chance for things to go wrong during live demos, and that there's so many of these robots and nothing is going particularly wrong. It just shows that the technology is doing really well. Anyway, thank you for watching. You can let me know in the comments what you thought about the Chunwan performance this year. Were you inspired? Were you impressed? Were you creeped out by the robots? I think that's also a valid response. By the way, one more thing, I wanted to mention my friends at New York jianghu. These folks are making a documentary sharing the story of the Chinese martial arts community in New York City. They also happen to be really nice people who make awesome swag. So if you're interested, you can check out the link in the description and use my code RebsWushu for $20 off. All right, thank you for watching. Happy New Year and bye.